Hi everybody, how you doing? It is Friday, which means it is episode 2 of my new video series on how to get a distinction. So, following on from last week's video where I was talking about the importance of getting to know and start using the mark scheme of the exam board, this video follows on really nicely because it's also to do with knowing the success criteria. Or in other words, what does a successful performance sound like? Believe it or not, many students have never actually heard their pieces being played in full by a professional other than their teacher. And generally, even then, sometimes the teacher may only demonstrate small sections for the purpose of that lesson. So how is a student supposed to know how a piece is meant to sound? How can you get a distinction if you don't know what a top class performance sounds like? So my top tip for you this week is essentially relating to one thing: listen to your pieces. So I want you to find your pieces on YouTube, listen to and watch the performances of them. Now, there will be loads out there, and I want you to prioritize the performances by professionals. However, it is still useful and interesting to hear more amateur or beginner performances. Even amongst the professional performances, you will notice slight differences in terms of expression and technique. Obviously, watching a live performance is always ideal, but we can't always find a concert where all 3 of your exam pieces are being played by the same professional, so YouTube is your next best bet. Further reasons why this tip is so important is that listening to your pieces being played by somebody else gives you a different perspective, particularly handy if you're a bit stuck on it or a bit bored by it. Learning by watching others and listening to others is a fabulous way of learning. This is called AFL, Assessment for Learning, which is typical sort of secondary school teacher speak. Essentially, by watching others, we can pick up lots of different ideas on how their performance is different to ours. And we'll pick up those ideas consciously, but also subconsciously. Naturally, as we all know, us human beings, we like to compare ourselves to each other, which can be a good or a bad thing. But using it in this sort of learning way, we can start to devise for ourselves a little strategy for our own improvement and development. Now, don't just stop there. Don't just listen once to your piece and then move on. There are so many different things that you could do to approach and develop this further. For example, whilst you're listening and watching the video, follow your sheet music. Okay, so follow the music along as it's playing. You could annotate the music with a pencil. So, for example, if you hear something that the performer is doing that you weren't doing and you like what you're hearing, you can just put a little mark in the music at that point or put a circle around it. So, for example, we know that if you emphasize the dynamics and the articulation in a piece, that will really make the piece come alive. Similarly, a common thing that I talk to my students about is cantabile. If you bring out the melody in the music, make the melody louder than the accompaniment, then again, that can let the melody project and sing out over the top and therefore create a much more engaging performance as well. Another idea is for you to create a little playlist of your pieces and just listen to them in the background as you go about your day. Subconsciously, this is another great way to get to know your pieces even better. So hopefully you've found a little bit of that useful. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you get on. Have a great weekend. See you next Friday. Bye.